Welcome to our Cleancast today. Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk today about what makes your company valuable. What are some of the key points? Have you ever thought about that? What are really some of the key points of why people should buy from you? Let me just list some and see if they hit a nerve with you, if that's true with you or not true with you. What about a one-of-a-kind training program? Have you developed a training program that's different from everybody else? Everybody in this business talks about, I have trained personnel, and then they send them out with an experienced employee who's doing it wrong, and so that they can learn the ropes, and the rope they give them is the one that hangs them. That's not a one-of-a-kind training program. What about industry-specific software? If you've purchased one of these new software programs, are not new anymore, I guess, but the software programs where maybe even clients can, get into the computer and see what's going on in their account, talk about it. Do you have a customer call center? Do you have regularly scheduled meetings with customers, what we called partnering meetings? Do you provide bundling of services that maybe your competitors don't? What about your turnover? Is it below the national average? Remember, the national average in our industry is about 325, 350. Now, let me just caution you there. If you have lower turnover than that, you don't want to say, well, mine's only 225. But what you can say is that, mine's only about 60% of the national average. That sounds a lot better, doesn't it? Because if you're talking to something like a law firm or an accounting firm trying to get their office, and you tell them my turnover is 200%, they're not going to talk to you, even though it's half or a little more than half of what the industry average is. But if you tell them, well, mine's only 50 or 60% of the national average, and that sounds a lot better. But do you have employee benefits that maybe your competitors don't have? These are all things that make your company valuable, and these are things that you can extol the virtues of when you're talking to prospective customers. How are you really talking about those in your proposal? Do you have each one of those that you have? And I'm not suggesting you need to have each one of these that I just mentioned, but I think I would encourage you to make a list of those that you do have that you could really talk about. We clean better doesn't qualify. We've been around 30 years, doesn't qualify. You need to be up to date today as to what's going on in your company that's different and unique and a reason why somebody should buy your service. You see, your prospective customers already know, or already assume, let me put it that way, that you know everything you need to know about cleaning. They don't want to know, how do you strip and wax a floor? They figure you know that. Right? So it doesn't do any good to say, we clean so good, we use these products, we use it. I always did the products in my presentation, but it was part of the part of the presentation, part of the proposal, that I would just say, and we use this nationally known brand of chemicals and whatever, and to enhance your company, enhance your environment. And then if they wanted to add and talk about that, we would talk about that. And but I didn't say, boy, my guys can strip and wax a floor better than anybody else's, unless that was what they wanted to talk about. But it wasn't part of our proposal. See, they already figured I knew how to clean. Well, I wouldn't be there sitting there in the first place, right? Now, back in the 50s and the 40s and the 60s, that was a deal. They had to know, does this guy really know how to clean a building? We've come a long way, and people assume you know how to clean the building. So now they want to know these other things. They want to know about your trained personnel, your turnover ratio, some of these other virtues of bundling services, software specific to them. What is your training program? How often do you communicate with me? You see, they don't really care about you being in business 30 years. When you say I have trained personnel, well, that's fine, but you need to tell them how you're training them that's different than what we've talked about earlier. And you can say, well, we're better. Really? That has no bearing on anything, because that's just you saying you're better. And that doesn't mean anything to anybody. So let me suggest that, maybe you get your key people together in your organization and have a discussion. Come up with 3 or 4 points that you really believe makes your company more valuable than your competitors. And then put it in your proposal and extol the virtues. In fact, you can maybe even develop it into your literature if you have literature outside of your proposal. Here's why you should buy from us. We're LEED certified, or we have LEED certified people, or we have, whatever. And I have one client who is big in medical, and they have actually people on their staff who have come through the medical ranks, worked for hospitals before. I mean, in nursing and things like that, not cleaning toilets. And so they can, boy, it helps when you start talking that language. So it's important that you be able to come up with those kinds of things that you can put in your proposal. But get your group together. Let's see, are we all thinking on along the same lines? Be a good exercise to do. Thanks for watching us today. See you next time.